I think that many people, if they have to do that, they have to go through. Okay.
Thank you guys for coming. If you need to use the restroom, just come see me in the back and I'll direct you there. I'm really glad you guys can all make it. And Victor, take it away.
Cool. Hey everyone, my name is Victor. Yeah, thanks for having me today. Just a quick intro of myself. I'm actually from Orange County, California. I lead the AngularJS Orange County Meetup over there, so it's kind of cool. Yeah. Come to another fellow meetup and share the knowledge. I'd like to kind of just tell a little bit about myself, kind of make something personal. I just made it to the first year of parenthood, so I'm pretty proud of myself, We ended up taking our daughter to Disneyland. Of course, she loved it, It was fun. Just got here today, and then we had some good shrimp tacos, so that's my lovely daughter. But again, I want to come and share this. Unit testing is something I'm really passionate about, so just to get a feel, so who has tried Angular 2? Like written like a small app or, yeah, I guess it's kind of playing around with it. And then everyone's kind of familiar with unit testing, mostly over here. What do you use? Mocha, Jasmine? You can shout it out. Yeah, well, Carmen's your testament, right? You mean Jasmine?
Whatever.
Huh?
Q
unit, yeah. Cool. I just want to know how much, to go in depth regarding that. So, yeah. So, what I want to ask you, does this describe the current front-end dev workflow?
Yes.
Yes. Cool. So, what happens? You build your app, right? What do? You have your. I hope you have like reloading, right? You refresh your page. Are you console logging? I'm a console logger. Anybody else console loggers here? Yeah, console loggers too. Are you really in creating? The thing is, we can do better, right? So for those that are writing unit tests, what kind of coverage do you guys have on your code base? You guys know? Like what percentage?
80 to 90.
80 to 90. That's good. Is it everyone else is that high? Yeah. But any unit test is better than no unit test, right? But some convincing. I don't think I need to convince you, but again, unit tests guard against breaking existing code, so things like regressions, right? I like to use unit tests as my documentation, right? So sometimes you want to know how a function behaves or what it's supposed to output. We look at unit tests and we can easily tell how it's supposed to work. And if I'm not too religious about test-driven development. I'm more about test during development. As long as my code has unit tests, I feel comfortable shipping to to production. But when we doing some closed TDD or test-driven development, I think it forces you to look at your implementation, right? Or writing more modular, more robust code. So the agenda for today, we're going to cover the Angular CLI, a little bit how just to scaffold up an app. I think it's the way to go. So frameworks like Ember has their Ember CLI. Angular actually forked their CLI, right? React has their new CLI. Especially now with build systems, I feel like CLIs are going to be like the future of scaffolding apps. I mean, you still want finer control. You know, you can go like cut your custom setup, but I feel like using the CLI and even like it's been like, you know, sort of what's the word, recommended by the Angular team to use the schema at the NGCLI to scaffold out your apps. We're gonna so Angular 2 is all about components, right? We're gonna cover how to test components, how to test HTTP, components with async actions, and how to test pipes, which is like the Angular 2 version of filters. Do I need to cover the Jasmine stuff? Is everyone familiar with Jasmine and how to write basic specs? Okay. Yes? So I can skip all that, right, about specs. And we can move to the actual good stuff. All right. Yeah, so this quick thing, again, the Angular CLI uses a Karma as a test runner. I think by default, when you generate it, does it as a Chrome launcher. I like to run everything in Phantom.js, right? I like the unit tests to be fast. Second thing is, I like my terminal reporting to be pretty. You know, when you run your tests, it just breaks off your suites and your specs like that. And the way to do that is just you npm install the Karma spec reporter, you add it to the plugins, and then you change your reports to a spec reporter instead of a progress reporter, and then you can get that that nice output when you run your unit test.
Oh, is the package called?
Karma-spec-reporter.
Thank you.
And again, I'll send this link to the slides, and I have a sample code repo. Everything is on. Another pro tip is I use Husky. Anybody use Husky? Just install this. It's an easy way to install Git commit hooks. So before any dev members, any team members try to push like branch, if unit tests fail or your one team fails, it won't even let them push the remote branch. You can even get extra strict and add like pre-commit, so it won't even let them commit if their unit tests are not passing. So just npm install Husky, and then you add this npm scripts, and then it runs those whatever commands you wanted to do before you push your branch. Generally, I just stick to linting and running your unit tests. So if that fails, then you shouldn't be allowed to do it, right? So now the actual good stuff, testing Angular 2. So we, in McGraw Hill, that's where I work, McGraw Hill application, we started this app about 2 months ago. I think they were on RC2. And we're being really diligent about our unit tests, right? But they've been breaking stuff every release kind of, and we're supposed to ship this beginning of next month. And it's been kind of difficult, right? So especially with the release of RC5. So in RC5 they broke up a bunch of stuff. In RC6 they removed all the duplicate stuff, right? So we're still on RC4. And that was over the weekend, and I was posted in our head chat room. I was trying to update RC5, and it was like a total fail. I was getting errors left and right. So RC5 wasn't ready to introduce some bugs. I told my team members, I got frustrated, and I was like, just wait for R6. I'm not going to use beta libs from Google again, and I'm switching to React. So, but no, I'm just kidding. Now I'm a big Angular fan. I don't like to play the framework for it. I believe in the right tool for the right job. But I have been an Angular developer for maybe 3 years now, so it's been my bread and butter. So I like it, and I definitely like the way that Angular 2 is going. So we have a sample app that we're going to build today, and it's just like storefront, everything Angular. We got hoodies and t-shirts and everything. But again, I feel like these frameworks are influencing each other, right? So even with Angular 2, everything's a component, right? So when you build your app, you want to think of it in terms of components. So even with the small app, you can see there's maybe like 3 components. You have like a header component, your product grid component, and you have each one of your products, right? And you can even get more granular as you have like your shopping cart count component, or you have other stuff here, right? But this little app is going to cover pretty much all the features, you know, like fetching data, how to run components, how to test async, and all that stuff. So if you go to Angular Docs and you want to learn how to test components, this is what you get, right? So test an asynchronous service, forthcoming. Test a component, forthcoming. Test a component not forthcoming. So it's been kind of painful to try to learn, right? So my team and I have been digging through the source code, you know, of course, Googling. I think one of the resources that we used a lot was ngbook, but they've been really good about keeping up with this candidate. So they're getting there, but documentation is still lacking. And so what I hope to show you today is kind of show you, like, you know, cut and paste recipes that you can use. Oh, how do you test this? You just can copy and paste this code, and that's pretty good, right? So let's go ahead. So what I have here, I have a sample app generated with Angular CLI. So what you want to do is you want to npm install will be the Angular CLI, but you want to do the Webpack version. Their current version on npm is based off of Broccoli, right? But they made the decision recently to switch to Webpack. So they have a Webpack branch. They're going to merge that to master, I don't know, soon. But you want to do the Webpack, is just Webpack, I feel like it's a much better build system. And that's the way they're going anyway. So once you do that, the way you generate like a new app, just do ng-new. That's it. And then it scaffolds out a project, and it runs your npm installs, and it's just ready to go with commands to test, run a unit test, run run a local server with live reload. So I'm gonna wait for that. I already scaffolded up an app here. So one of the commands that has is just you do ng-serve. Runs through the Webpack dev server and runs a live reload server here. I think I have it running. Yeah. Sorry about that. Cool. So that's what you want to see, right? This nice green, your bundle is valid. And it's actually my day-to-day development what I do, right? And on the bottom here, usually I just run ng test. And that'll start watching my files, and whenever anything changes, it's going to rerun my test suite. And that's going to fail right now because I don't have any specs, right? So what are we going to do first, right? So I want to go ahead. So right now, this app all is rendering. So once you generate the app, it just generates a parent level component, right? With this app component, has your selector, the template URL, and any kind of styles, right? And then here's the markup. So the first thing that I want to do is just render this header component, right? So even here, you can open up like the terminal, because you even have commands to scaffold out your components. And the way you do that is just you generate component, and then here you want to generate your header component. Scaffold all the files, and now I have the header here. So again, this runs again, and then unit test should run again. And even creates your first unit test, right? So let's look at the files that it generates. It's just some basic boilerplate for a component. No CSS, the header, right? And then even my first unit test here. Cool. So what I want to do is just have some markup here saved. Using this framework called Semantic UI, it's kind of like a bootstrapping framework, and just a bunch of markup that puts a logo. How do we actually use it, right? We just go to our app component here, and then stick the app header here. that should generate just my header. So just a bunch of HTML. Okay. One thing to note that when so in RC5 they introduced this concept of ng module. So you can think of it as it's kind of this very similar thing to the Angular 1 Angular.module, where you declare like the module and like any kind of services or components that belong to that module, right? And you can see everything here in the app.module. So by default, you get all this, right? Declarations is where are your components and are your types will live. Imports are any other modules that you want to import. So even, like Angular 2 libraries will now be an engine module, right? So the way you will bring it in here is by importing their module. Providers are any services that will be used across your app, and the entry component that we want to bootstrap is the app component. So whenever we generate a component, it's just going to stick a line here, and then stick it also in the declarations. Right? It's kind of neat because you don't have to remember to do all that. Let's go ahead and look at the header component. So this doesn't do any. I guess maybe the cart button, right? But it doesn't do much. It's just for display purposes, right? But I still want to write a unit test. So maybe to ensure that this header always contains this text, right? Because it say requirements change, something else changes, and then another developer puts something different in it, and then the test is going to break, which you want it to break, right? Because was it that intentional? Did that copy change, right? So let's go ahead and write a unit test to do that. So testing components, everything, components and even services, you're going to import this test bed from Angular core testing, okay? Then you want to import your component, you have your suite, and then you have a setup. And in the setup, you want to configure the test bed. And there you're going to, similar to the app module, you're going to declare any components that you want to test and any services that are being tested. In this case, we're just testing a component. So let's go ahead and go to the spec file here. So we want some setup here. This is the font size, okay? Yeah. This is going to be in an async block here. The first thing we want to do is configure our test module and our declarations. We're going to have our header component. And then after that, we want to, before each spec file, we want to compile the components. So there are three things that we care about when testing components. Okay, the first one are fixtures. And the way you get a fixture is by calling the test bed, create a component, and then you pass it in the class with the component that you're testing. So this returns a fixture for debugging and testing a component. And what do we get from that? We care about two things. We care about the element, right, that this belongs to. So to do that, we just get the fixture debug element and then the native element. And then we want the actual component instance so that we can actually change properties of the component, run the change detection, and ensure that your template reflects the same kind of change detection that we've done.
I have a question. The async block, I have an aversion to non-determinism in my tests because it causes leakiness. I'm wondering, how do you avoid that when you use an async block in a test?
So this will cause any async code to like flush through.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's like another function that's, I think it's fake async.
Cool.
So if you're testing like things with like time intervals and stuff like that, there's also this tick. And so for that, to get finer control, you just run fake async and then you do like tick like 200 milliseconds or something like that.
Cool.
And then you can do it like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, but for like async action like fetching data, just wrapping an async, and it flushes through, and then Cool. So there are three things I like to do this here. There are three things that we like to do, right? So one is the fixture, and then this is a component fixture type header component. second is going to be our element, and then this is the HTML element. And then lastly is going to be our component, and that's going to be the type of a header component. So the reason I do this, I tweak out the box so that it can be available to every spec, right? Because we're going to need filling up these variables after before each block. Right? So what we'll do here is we get our fixture first, and that's going to be a call to create a component from our test bed. And then the element is then going to be the fixture. We got to type into the debug element, and then the native element there. And then finally, we get our component, and that's going to be from the debug element also, but we want the component instance there. So yeah, we can leave that test there, right? But what about checking this guy, right? So our header should always display ng2 storefront, right? So it should always display correct header title. And so what we do here, right? We already have our element, so we can simply do expect element that query selector, and then h1.header. And then we want to get the inner HTML of that, and then to be ng2 storefront. So one thing that I like about testing component is, I mean, and then this is stuff that you can actually also test in your end-to-end test, right? Where we use part tractor and stuff. But I actually like to go as far as I can in testing the DOM in my unit test, because that means that's less stuff that I have to write in my end-to-end test, and the tools are available to you to test components. So actually, you have access to the element. You can do like simulate clicks, making sure that when you caught clicks, other things happen. You can spy and stuff and all that. Cool. Any questions? So specs passed. Everything's green. And just to make sure, like, you can put something bogus, right? So that to make sure it fails first. And then, yeah, that should fail. So expect the end user storefront to be. So this is pretty much like the base of everything. Getting familiar with testbed, you configure it, you compile the components, and before you spec, you can store references to the fixture, the element, the component instance, and then use them in each spec. Any questions on this? Cool. All right. So, cool.
Fixture and component are Angular terms?
Yeah, that's what they're calling whatever this returns, right? It just returns a component fixture. I guess component fixture is a more technical term. Yeah.
Is that like a built-in class? That's what I'm asking.
Yeah. So in testing Angular 2, I was hoping that it could be a little bit more like vanilla JS, but you're still kind of tied to the Angular APIs when testing. It's same stories for like Angular 1, right?
No, I'm not. I just asked. It's not from a jargon.
Yeah. Cool. So we have our header component. Not really testing anything here, right? So let's go ahead and scaffold out our what was next? Our product grid component, right? So let's do generate. Cool. So we have now this product grid. And so here we have header, the app component, we have the header, and then we're going to have columns, right? So here's just like a main container, and that's going to house the app product grid. It's going to take in, this is how you define inputs in Angular 2, right? It's going to take in a list of products, okay? And that's all pretty much what we care about. And we're ng-getting this only if there's products available, right? So Actually, let me just mock some data. I have a list of mock data. Let's just go ahead and grab these two guys here. So for the app component, we can have products, which is this is called an array of any. Here, let's just do the ng on init, which is one of the lifecycle hooks. Let's do this products equals. I'll just give it some mock data there. Cool. So this component now has the app component has this products, right, which should now be fed to the product grid. Right. So let's go to product grid, and that's now going to take in as input. And I defined it was use this decorator. That's going to take in as input this product products array. So let's get it clear here. Not do that first and see. So stuff should be breaking now, right? And this is good. So some Angular errors have gotten much better in Angular 2. So we say here that template parsers can bind to products since it isn't a known property of that product grid, right? It makes sense, right? To do that, we declare the component, but we're not declaring as input what we're passing in. We have our product grid that's rendering. So that's good, right? But now we want to get more granular to the actual product, right? So let's do some, what we do here is this, again, we have a container. And this ng4 is the ng2 version of like ng-repeat, which is going to repeat over our products. And that individual, and each app product component as input is going to take the product object, right? Now this should error out again. It shouldn't even recognize the app product. Actually, we have to go ahead and generate this product. And then I'm just scaffolding everything out, and then we're going to go ahead and write this in test. And that should kick in as input a product. And then we got to choose the markup for the, so now it should display a bunch of product works, right? Yep, we got two products there. And let's go ahead and actually replace it with the markup, right? So as this property is now going to accept this product object, right? And then -2, you have the same kind of similar data binding that we love for Angular 1. Just wrap it in curly braces, and you can put our properties in our HTML. Just rendering our image, right? Rendering our title, and then our price, and then this is going to be a type, but we're going to hold off on that. And so now instead of just rendering two of the same HTML, we're customizing, right? And it's just rendering our two mock products, right? And the price is returning in cents. We're not doing any kind of formatting yet. Cool. So let's go ahead and focus on this product component, because now we can get to testing change detection in our Angular templates. So let's go to our spec file. So again, so we want to do our setup here before each. Rather than watching me type, we'll just go here. Unfortunately, there's no easy way to kind of cut down that boilerplate, but that's as much as you can cut it down. Cool. So yeah. component texture here, and then instead of header component, we have our product component. We configure the test bed with the product component. We compile the components, and then we get the fixture, 3 things, right? The fixture, the element, and the component. So hopefully nothing is broken. Everything's still right? But let's go ahead and test. So here we have, where do we have the markup here? Here we have this data binding to the title, right? So let's ensure that that is displaying what it's supposed to be displaying, right? So one here is if should display. And we want to go ahead and bring in like a mock product, right? So we can go ahead and say here, our mock product will be this guy, right? So what we do here is we have access to the component, right? So the engine on it is a function, but what we actually want to set is the input product, right, on this component. So we can say, set the this product property to the mock product. And then in order to run like the Angular change detection, you just do fixture detect changes. Okay. And what that's going to do is run the change detection to ensure that your template reflects the new state, right? And then let me see what that selector was. It was the product title, right? And we expect, and then we have our element, product title, and that should be let's put something in. That's what's not supposed to be, to make sure that it's and this needs to be inner HTML. Right? Yeah. So this has to be now the mock product title. And things are green again, right? So new thing that we introduce now is this fixture detect changes. Okay? And that's pretty much how you test that, certain DOM elements reflect what the usage. Okay. You guys follow along? Cool, makes sense.
Didn't you have 2 products? So, but only one mock product?
2 mock products?
Oh,
In your app, you have 2 products. In your test, you only have 1.
So here I'm just testing the product component in isolation. Okay. The product component takes as input a single product object.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So yeah, but my product is just going to be one mock product.
As opposed to the product list component, I think it's called, right?
Yeah.
That takes
It was a product list that takes
I have a tangential question.
Sure.
Is Angular always in TypeScript, or just do you like to do TypeScript?
So in Angular 2, you can, I think you have like 3 options. You can write it in ES5, which you don't want to do,
Yeah.
right? You can do ES6, but I mean, it's going to be a little bit hard. The way to go is to use TypeScript.
And is TypeScript actually, and you have your embedded JavaScript in the TypeScript? Is that?
Yeah, so like TypeScript really is just, think of it as just ES6.
It's just
It's
extra
just
stuff.
ES6,
Yeah.
and then you just add like this types and annotations to it. That's all it is.
Okay.
But really, it's still JavaScript.
Yeah.
It's at its core, it's just JavaScript. So
Okay.
yeah, what I recommend is just first like learn ES6. What like these error functions are, let versus cons. Things like that, and then start sprinkling in the types. And it's been awesome. Like seriously, like using like type, it's been really great. Code, going on a tangent here, but code, Visual Studio Code is actually not like my my favorite editor. I actually use Sublime Text and WebStorm, but for using Angular 2 and TypeScript, Visual Code is like a really good editor. So I recommend trying it out. And it's like really fast. Like it's a really good editor. Yeah.
They wrote Angular 2 with TypeScript.
I need to do TypeScript, so it's the recommended way to write your Angular 2 apps.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. So let me see. Where are we at? So we covered components, and then how to test the change detection. Now let's test our services, right? So when testing services, you don't want the main HTTP post. You don't want it to hit your actual server, right? You want to mock this with mock requests, things because of time constraints. You want to isolate from outside points of failure. And generally, you want unit tests to just run fast, right? That should be it. So any kind of outside interaction, you need to mock that out. Let's go ahead and do our services. So if you look at the Angular Style Guide, they recommend putting all shared services in this folder that's called shared. So let's make a directory. So it's shared. And then I'm going to generate service in the shared folder. It's going to call it our API service. Cool. So now I have this basic service. And then services in Angular 2, it's just a class, which is really cool. You don't have this Angular provider, service, factory, 4 different things in Angular 1, right? This is the class in Angular 2. This injectable stuff, come on, this inception, this doesn't make your service injectable. It allows for dependency injection. Okay, so you can inject stuff here. Still, every service you write, just put the injectable decorator on it. Okay. All right, so this is our API service where we're going to have make some calls. Right, so let's import. This is going to be from Angular HTTP. And in here we want HTTP, right? And then we do dependency injection here, right? So we want our API, sorry, HTTP, which is going to be this guy. Now, what this does is when you add this modifier, so say you don't have that, you're going to have to do this. And then you're going to have to do this HTTP equals HTTP. Okay? But when you add that modifier, that TypeScript takes care of that for you. So you didn't even have to do all that. Because why? Because developers are already easier. Cool. So, what's one function that we want to, let's say API service, we want products. And then, so HTTP in Angular 2, I don't know if you're aware of it, is based on this new RxJS, right? So, just a new way of thinking of like events and not only fetching data but any kind of asynchronous action. But for the most part, you can when working with HTTPs, it's kind of like the comments, like the .them in Angular 1. You can think of it like that. So what I want to do is from the HTTP, we want to make a get call, right? And then I have some mock data here. Here, I want to wrap it in JSON, and then here, what this returns is an observable type response. And to import these guys. import the response from here. So WebStorm is nice because you can just like right click on it and it says it knows where you import. But I feel like when starting off, it's nice to have to figure out where these all imports come from. Cool. So that's our API service. So things are fading right now, right? So what is going to use, again, we go back to our app module. Oh, the service is big. Service is big. Here. Maybe that's something that I need to use. So from here, we have to go ahead. Where is it? Shared. Providers, we have to go ahead and insert it here. And that makes it available for our application, right? So we have our API service that's fetching some data, right? So what it is going to use is, instead of this mock products, right, we will be using our API service. In the app component, we're going to be injecting it there. And then here, it's going to be from share API. And instead of here, getting products on it, we're going to call the get products from the API. And instead of the .then, we use this .subscribe. And let's see if everything is working fine. Again, when doing stuff initially, I tend to use some console logging, right, to make sure. Yeah, so what we need to do is I'm so sorry. That's my work email going on. Go away on my vacation. Cool. Yeah, so it's an operator. Import it here. Import AngularJS. And make sure. Cool. So we're fetching the data and it's fetching it correctly, right? But in the app component, instead of just setting it, we actually want to set this products to the data we actually fetched. And then given some type error, just give this any. Cool. So these are the products now that okay, right? So we've just to recap, we have our API service now, right? So this is what we're going to cover next. I'll just cover testing HTTP. So testing HTTP has more, even like a little bit more boilerplate. But again, once you write that first kind of boilerplate for your test, it's just a matter of doing the same thing for other similar tests. So this API service it has one function call, right? You call get products, and it just makes a call to your API URL. Do this, map it to a JSON, and then the app component on init is going to make a call to that API, and this is similar to the .then, and just say products in that data is just going to propagate to your components. Okay, so let's go ahead and write the test for this. So again, you start off with your test bed, right? But this is going to take a lot more boilerplate, and rather than having me watch type it out, I'm going to show you everything that needs to be injected. So let me just get rid of all these import errors, HTTP testing. So we have our mock again, our mock connection, and then from Angular HTTP. Let's really do our base request options, and I'll explain what all this is. And of course, HTTP itself, right? Cool. So let's cover what's going on here, right? So when testing components, we have this declarations, right? So that's where we want to test components, right? But here we're testing services, right? So again, you have to first configure the test bed with the provider that you're actually testing, okay? After that, you want to also tell it what providers this guy depends on, right? So if we look at the API service, it only depends on one other provider, which is HTTP provider, okay? But since we're testing stuff out, we don't actually want to, you don't want to just do HTTP, okay? Because we want to use the mock version of this, right? And then so what you see here is a way to provide configure services when they're being injected, right? So this is like the factory DI way of injecting, right? So it's saying provide HTTP, right? Because this guy depends on HTTP. So it's saying provide HTTP, right? But when you inject it, call this factory function. Okay? So when this is injected, it's just going to return this new HTTP object with this mock backend and this base request options object that's here injected. Okay? And then dependencies are dependencies for this service that you're injecting. Okay? And since this guy depends on the connection backend and the base request options, we just provide those dependencies. And then you got to go ahead and put those dependencies again here in the providers. It's a lot of boilerplate, okay? But for testing all your HTTP services, it's going to look the same. It's just pretty much a cut and paste thing, okay? Cool. So we have our providers, right? So then I should get rid of that. There. Cool. So that just means things are working fine. We should create an instance. But one thing that you want to test from your HTTP service is that you want to ensure it's making the correct API calls, right? So let's go ahead and do that. So it should call get products with correct API URL. Okay. So again, your it blocks take in a function, right? But since we're testing async actions, what you want to do is instead of passing in a regular function, we pass it in this async. And okay, and that should be that takes in a function. And what we want to do next, again, this async wraps a test function and an async testo, right? We actually want to inject things, right? So here, we want to make a call to the inject, right? So the first parameter are going to be any tokens that we inject. And the second one is the function that we actually, and in here is where we're actually going to run our test code. Okay?
So I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm used to when I mock out HTTP, I'm used to mocking it out with something that's synchronous, so I don't have to do this. So your mock HTTP service is still asynchronous under the covers. Is that why we have to do this here?
Yeah, it is, but again, you run it in async block so that it flushes, right? Because you want it to sort of simulate that.
Yeah.
But yeah, generally, like, you know, you just create like a mock service when you make this call, you return this.
Yeah.
Right? But the reason, like, but what about if you want to, like, make sure that, you know, the call is with the correct URL, or with even the correct, headers or options and things like that. That's what it is. Yeah. So two things that we want to inject here, right, will be the API service, and then, so bear with me, here's going to be like a lot of boilerplate, right? So here's going to be the API service, and then here's going to be the mock backend. So this is as complicated as it's going to get, so try to follow along from here. So what do we do here? Right? So insight is inject, which is wrapped inside async, so it's a function within a function within a function. That's what we like JavaScript, right? Because you can make a function, right? So what do we do? So we could do API service. Not going to get into the sense, right? So you can simply just give us some type here. And I want to make a call to get products, right? Again, this spec, I'm testing that the API calls it with the correct URL. Right? So what we do is we tap into this mock backend. Give this type here to the connections, and you subscribe there. And that's going to take in a connection, which is a type mock connection. Right. And then here's where you can actually test things out. Right? So you make a call. So what are things that you want to test of that HTTP call, right? So you can run some things on this connection. For example, you can test that the request URL was what was it, mock and class .json. And then that's our green, right? And then forever, this get products function should always call HTTP your API with the get call, right? And if someone changes to like a click or post, and your test should fail, right? So we can tap into the connection again. Not the state, but the request. Let's look at the headers. Then there's something that we have, this request method. Let's go ahead and import it here. Request method. So when I make this call, it should be my request method. And obviously it shouldn't be a post, right? That's gonna fail. It should be and it should be it should be okay. So again, it's kind of a lot to dig in, right? So more, but a little bit more boilerplate. But again, with HTTP, you want to deal with like the mock backend and then your base request options. And I'm not sure what is this failing here. I'll have to see why that is failing. Let's go ahead and move on from there. Cool. Any questions on this part? Right. So again, this is like more bullet, but I feel like they kind of tie into and into. I wish there was more, a little bit more AngularJS, but you can bring in like some locking libraries like Santa and things like that, you know. But in order to really test the things that you know, the way I'm just doing it, this is the recommended way. Cool. And just, really quickly, how do you test components with dependencies? So kind of combining the two, right? So what about if in a component the app component takes in the API service, right? And this is where you would do you would do that, right? So you have like your mock API service. So instead of the actual mock API service, you want to isolate it, right? So you have this class. When you make a call, just return a promise that immediately resolves. So I think this is what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. So and then in this case, you're testing the app component, and then you specify what providers this app component depends on, and you provide the API service, but you use the class, the mock API service. Okay. So this is where you would do this. Okay. So just combining two declarations and then the providers. So testing pipes. So again, so pipes are like the MG2 version of filters. So let's go ahead and do that. How would we test pipes? So let's do MG generate pipe. Let's call it format price. And then went ahead and added it to my app module. Cool. So a pipe, again, is just a class that implements this interface, and this interface has this transform function, right, that takes in your value. So this pipe doesn't take in any arguments. No, not that. Well, and I just have some snippet here, right? So return, I would just format, taking in something as a number. How do you format it as a price, right? So right now this is just taken in like in cents. So if you go to our product component, not that. Then here we'll just pipe here. And again, pipes are good too. You want to use them strictly for like displaying or formatting the data, right? You don't want to do pipes for like filtering or storing data, you know, in your DOM. You can still have the same performance issues that you had in Angular 1. So that's our pipe there. It works, right? But how do we test pipes? Cool thing is about pipes is just it's just a class. Okay, there's nothing Angular 2-ish about it. It's just a class, right? So let's go ahead and should format price, right? So we have our pipe. We do our new format price pipe. So we do expect pipe a transform of like from 399 to be this $. Let's go ahead to the format price page. And that's going to come from yeah, so we go ahead and, where's our, yeah, perhaps we'll shoot format price, so, straight out to do an input there. And again, price are just classes, so nothing fancy there. It's just a good old object, right? And again, like you can still use your, vanilla Jasmine, like spies, or bring in mocking libraries like Xenon, like, things like when you ask a card, you expect certain functions to be called, right? Or you expect this guy's icon to update to correct amount of numbers, right? But yeah, that's pretty much in a nutshell, right? What kind of where we Angular 2 testing, where we've covered components, we've covered change detection, covered how to make async calls, HTTP calls, and testing types, right? So yeah, that's pretty much where I wrap things up. Any kind of questions? Yeah. You excited about Angular 2?
I want to be,
Yeah.
but all the breaking changes are driving me
Yeah,
nuts.
wait till final. Don't
Yeah.
jump on it right now. So.
Is there any idea when the final will come out?
Yeah, I was talking to Randy earlier. I feel like they're gonna release it this month before that conference they have. That's my guess. Because RC6 is your last RC. Like if you go to oh. Yeah, just go here, then go to Angular, go to your issues, milestones. Yeah. So RC6 was the last RC, and then they have 32 issues open up before they're gonna release it. Yeah, I would say wait till then because they've had breaking changes. Every RC. So yeah. So the project I worked that we actually, you familiar with this one, Angular 2 Webpack Starter? These Angular class guys, I would strongly recommend following them. So we based our product off of this it's kind of like a full-blown starter, like Webpack and hot module reloading and all that fancy stuff. So we forked this one, we customized this for our needs. So if you want finer control, like of your build system, then it's a good one to try out. If you're playing around, for now use the Webpack version of the CLI. And again, I would recommend just future projects going in and using that. So. But yeah, it's been fun. I feel like, we still have option Angular 1, and I still love going to Angular 1. But the mentorship to components has definitely been nice. And writing isolated components, testing them isolated has been really, really nice. I feel like it's increased our productivity at work. Yep.
Do you know if Angular components have anything at all to do with like web components that are going to be standardized in the browser? Is it completely unrelated?
No, I feel like, that's where they're all getting their, what do you say, their motivation, their inspiration, right? You go ahead and actually inspect, right? So these Angular components, so are you guys familiar with like CSS architecture like Max or Atomic Design and all that stuff? Or even Ben? Anybody like Ben? Using Ben? I hate Ben. Right? I feel like like all these CSS strategies are to isolate your styles, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then Angular comes here and says, look, we've done it for you already. So again, let's go ahead and this is my product, right? Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and do the product CSS, right? So sorry, let's go this guy. Product grid. I'm going somewhere with this. So product grid, let's do every app product. Let's out of order. And let's set a margin and cool. So if I go ahead and look at this app product, let me see the styles that are in there. Angular does this, right? It adds this fancy stuff, right, to be able to isolate your component, and styles are isolated now, right? So you can even do, I mean, what's something, do I have an H1 there? Let me go to my product, do I have an H1 here? Like you can even do something, yeah, if there's like an H1 here, right, and then you want to do like a font size of 20 pixels, right, this style would only apply to H1s in the app product because it does this CSS encapsulation.
That's the most important part of web components.
Yeah, the most important part of components, right? So that's, again, something really cool that you can add like styles without worrying of polluting at your local styles, right?
Is this compile time or runtime that it's doing?
This is at runtime that it's doing it.
How do they avoid this a flash of style by processing the CSS in runtime?
Good question. I haven't encountered that error. Like I know, like Angular 1, you have to do that. What was that?
Cloak.
That cloak, right? Yeah, you don't do that in Angular 2 for some reason. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, but what about, so by default, let's go to the product component. So by default, let's import this encapsulation here, right? By default, every component has a view encapsulation emulated, okay? And that's what does that fancy, like, adding that string that kind of isolates it. You can also do like native. And the browser support, again, I think that this would be more for like evergreen browsers, right? See, I changed native and stuff breaks, right? But what I want you to know is that it adds this thing. What is that? Shadow DOM, right?
Yeah, that is.
So we have a web component, adds a shadow root, and any kind of styles, it's just going to stick it in there, okay? So you can like isolate that component. Again, Angular 2 really took it far in terms of developer productivity and how to do that. Yeah, and then all these other guys, React and Number, they're all moving towards web components. I feel like the ones that has closer APIs, like web components, maybe Polymer, right? But I don't know, the API isn't that nice. You want developers to be productive writing components, right?
It's the same people, right? The ones writing the spec and the ones doing code.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I think why this is breaking because I'm importing this semantic UI globally. But yeah, that's a good thing to know. For the most part, I just leave it emulated and short browser compatibility. Long answer to your question, but hopefully that. Yeah. Thanks for having me. Again, I'll send links to the slides and let me see. Everything is on my GitHub /Victor Mejia. I'll send links and then everything will be here in the sample app that you can play on. Thanks, guys.
you guys all for coming out. Next meetup is going to be on October 13th. We're going to be supercharging Angular 1 with TypeScript. So, hope to see you all there.
You got that?
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Where do you,
Oh, yeah.
Where? At CJ.
Yep, October 13th.
Here, actually.
His brother still works at CJ.
Does he really?
I think what's
Yeah. Karen is at,
That's awesome, so you guys take this at that?
we
I was